I'd like to continue our journey in chapter 14 of the Gospel of Matthew. We're up to verse 30 in that chapter and talking about the story of Jesus as he was coming to the apostles. They were in the boat and Jesus was walking on the water to get to them. Initially they think Jesus is a ghost and they're really taken aback by this, as of course anybody would be. You're in a boat on the water and all of a sudden, it's Jesus coming at you. So at this point, Peter is recognizing that it is Jesus, and he's saying that he wants to come towards Jesus. So Jesus says, come on, nothing is stopping you, come to me. So there he is trying to walk on the water as Jesus was. But it says in verse 30, but when Peter, saw how strong the wind was, he became frightened. And beginning to sink, he cried out, Lord, save me. So fear grips Peter. It seems initially that he's fine walking towards Jesus. But then he notices, wow, this wind is picking up here. This isn't too good. And he just goes down. In verse 31, then immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him. So he's sinking, and Jesus is there. Jesus gets him. And he says to him, O you of little faith, why do you doubt? So there is Peter, as all of us, struggling with what? With faith. Should we believe in Jesus? Should we not believe in Jesus? Is Jesus who he says he is? Is he really able to do these things, walk on the water? Am I able then to do it because I'm one of his followers? All of these questions rise up in Peter, as they naturally would rise up in us, and I'm sure do rise up in us all the time. A lot of times we might say, can I really believe in Jesus? Is he really who he says he is? Is he the Son of God? Is he the second person of the Trinity? Is he the Messiah? Is he the Christ? Is he the Savior? All of these are doubts that naturally rise up in us. It is difficult to have faith. Constantly in the scriptures, we see faith is not easy, whether in the Hebrew scriptures with those who are trying to follow with Moses out of the promised land, or in the Christian scriptures with the followers of Jesus in the early church. There's all of these questions, and certainly they are real questions for us today as well. And Jesus basically confronts them head on and says, why do you doubt? There's no reason to doubt. Trust in me. I am coming to you on the water, and you're going to be fine. And Jesus sustains Peter. This story really became a very important symbolic story for the church, and still is. That as the followers of Jesus, there's always going to be doubt, there's going to be confusion, there's going to be fear. Is the faith sinking? There's not enough people in church. People aren't supporting it. People are leaving. They're following other churches. People are becoming non-believers. It's too secular. People don't care about religion anymore. All of these concerns buffet us. Just like that wind hit Peter, that the wind of all of these doubts, all of these uncertainties, naturally are going to affect us and hit us. Cause us to become afraid, first of all, and then to doubt. So from fear to doubt. Interestingly, O you of little faith is also found in the section on the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 6, verse 30, speaking about divine providence. So we see a parallel here. Oh, you of little faith, not trusting in me. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says the same thing in Matthew 6:30. Why don't you trust? Look at the lilies of the field. Look at how I provide for them. Why do you have doubt? Why do you not trust? Aren't you worth more than them? I love you. I came for you. I want to save you. I want to help you. I want to be with you. But again, naturally, there's this doubt. Oh, you of little faith. Doubt is very interesting as a word. This verb is peculiar to Matthew. So Matthew is using it for a specific purpose here, not found elsewhere in the Christian scriptures. It is found here, and it's also found in chapter 28, verse 17, after the resurrection, where the apostles are doubting the resurrection, doubting that this is really Jesus. So there's the doubt here. Is this truly Jesus? Can I trust in Jesus? And there's going to be that parallel doubt at the end of the life of Jesus. Just before he leaves the apostles at the ascension, there is still that doubt that lingers. And there is, of course, that doubt today. Doubt never ceases. It's always with us. When they saw him, it says in 28:17, when they saw him, meaning when they saw Jesus after the resurrection, they worshiped Jesus. They said, we believe, we worshiped, but then they also doubted. So, there's the two elements that are really always in our life. There's the tendency to say, yes, I believe in Jesus. Jesus is who he says he is. He is God. He is the Christ. Then there's, well, maybe he isn't. There's those two elements in our life. Can I really fully commit to Jesus? Is Jesus truly this good, this wonderful? Is it all saying, too good to be true? And I think it can apply to Jesus in some ways. When we think of Jesus and how he came among us, as God, he emptied himself to become one with us. He showed his love for all, his concern especially for those who are on the margins in society and the poor, reached out to them. He died for us because of his faithfulness to his mission to the Father. Then rose again, sent the Spirit to us, and we say, well, Jesus has done a lot for me. Is he too good to be true? Can he love me this much? Can he care for little old me this much? Always going to be a question, a doubt. Then in verse 32 it says, and they got into the boat, and the wind died down. Again, very symbolic. Because in the early church, the boat was a symbol for what? For the community, for the ecclesia, for those that were called together. So when you get into the boat, you're with others in community. You're not by yourself. You're not isolated in your fears and your doubts. You're with others. And so many times we hear people say this, I need a community. I need others who have the same belief. I need others to sustain me, to help me. I can't do this by myself. And that is the beauty of the ministry of Jesus, isn't it? Jesus did not call us to just a one-to-one relationship with him. Jesus called 12. He had 72 disciples. And he appeared to 500 after the resurrection. And then, there were 5,000 at Pentecost. All of this community, a sense of being with one another, supporting one another, caring for one another, loving one another, the importance of community and not this isolated individual relationship. You even see it in a monastic community where you might think, well, it's just that one-to-one relationship, but they are with other monks. And when people go into a hermitage and they're by themselves, yet they're in community with God, and inevitably, historically, we see others are drawn to them, and community is formed. So the wind dies down, the wind, that force that would buffet us, cause us to doubt, make us afraid. That wind dies down. And then this section ends in verse 33. Those who were in the boat did him homage, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." So we go from a few verses before, we have this doubt, we have this fear, we have the wind. Now we're in the boat, we're in the church. The wind has died down, the buffeting has stopped, the doubts subside, the faith becomes enlivened, and we're able to confess who Jesus is. Truly, you are the Son of God. Because there is no one who has ever lived who can compare with Jesus. That is our faith and our belief, and we see Jesus live that out in his life and invite us into communion with him, with community. So we have here a beautiful example of a faith that overcomes the doubt, that overcomes the fear, and leads us into community.